Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dallas Daily Show. So glad to have you here, coming at you from the Neighborhood Loans studio in St. Louis, Missouri. Today's topic is quit petting Cerberus. Let's get into the conversation. I don't know if you know who Cerberus is. It's in Greek mythology. Cerberus was a three-headed dog, and one of the roles of Cerberus was to Cerberus guarded the gates of Hades, guarded the gates of hell, right? And his main function was to keep, and you're already all right. Let's just pause for a second. You're listening to this right now and saying, I'm here for daily stories of insight and inspiration, and you're talking to me about a three-headed dog. Dallas, what are we doing today? I promise we'll get there. There's a reason, because I want us to quit petting Cerberus, and I'm going to tell you who that is. But first, I got to lay out the groundwork. Who in the heck is this Cerberus? What is this? So this three-headed dog guarded the gates of Hades, and his main job was actually to keep the dead from getting out of hell. Now, he had another job, which was also to keep the living from getting in, because, in Greek mythology, the living could go into Hades, get people and pull them out. That's kind of how that works. So Cerberus, this three-headed dog, his job was to keep those people out, but more importantly, to keep the dead in and to guard the gates of hell. And I was reading about him recently, as one happens to do on a Thursday evening when they're bored. I was reading about Cerberus, and I began to think about, I know what Cerberus is. When you feel trapped in your own hell, Cerberus is hopelessness, helplessness, and worthlessness. The three-headed dog is hopelessness, helplessness, and worthlessness. Think about in your life, where have you found yourself in a perspective where you feel, I'm never getting out of this situation. It is hopeless. Because maybe, and we talked about this in yesterday's episode, maybe you're on an old trigger belief behavior cycle. And you just have been on it for so long that maybe you're stuck in your own cycle of hell and you feel hopeless about it. It's not possible. I've been in this place so long. Maybe you've told yourself that it feels hopeless. Or maybe you feel helpless to change your situation. Now I'm going to use a word here, and I want to be very careful with this word. I'm going to say the word victim, all right? But a helpless person or a victim, there are victims of sex trafficking and victims of abuse, and I am not diminishing victimhood. But what I am going to say is when it comes to certain circumstances in your life, you feel like a victim of your circumstances. That's a different term that sometimes people will use. I'm just a victim of my circumstances. Sometimes when we're caught in that loop, we feel helpless to change it. We feel like we're a victim of circumstances. And so Cerberus keeps barking at us and keeps us trapped in our own hell. So maybe it's hopelessness. Maybe it's helplessness. Maybe it's worthlessness. Maybe you were told for so long that you had no value. Maybe you were told for so long that you just weren't any good. Maybe you've adopted an identity of worthlessness. Or maybe you just go, what's the point of changing? Like that's the ultimate despair. That's the ultimate hell to find yourself in, right? It's just this despair of, it's just not even worth it. In next week's episodes, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my story as I talk a little bit about my journey through depression and the deep, dark place and all of that. But there were definitely points in my life where I just felt hopeless. I felt helpless. But the worst one was the biggest bite. See, because hopeless and helpless, those are just barks. But the biggest bite is when you actually get injured to the point where you say, I'm completely worthless. And too many of us are playing around with Cerberus in our lives. Too many of us keep petting that old dog. I'm here to tell you, my friend, it is not hopeless. There is a possibility for you, a possibility of a new life, not a downward spiral, but an upward trajectory. Not a future you that you despise and you hate, but a future you that is the idealized, realized self that you want to become. When you think about a bright future, a bright hope, this is who this person is. And I'm telling you, that person is here. And if you haven't had someone encourage you in a long time, I'm here to encourage you. It is not hopeless. You are not helpless. You have the power to change. You have the power to be different. Part of this show is to give you a micro habit every day of daily stories of insight, inspiration, but more importantly, action, because you're not helpless. Sometimes it is one small thing that can break the pattern and break the old cycle. And I'm here to tell you, it's not hopeless. As someone who battled major depression and severe anxiety disorder, 95th percentile, was ready to kill myself, I'm here to tell you there is a brighter day ahead of you. And it starts with the little micro things that you can do that will change the trajectory of who you are. But before you can get over hopeless and before you can get over helpless and move in a new trajectory, you have to get over this. You are not worthless. You are worth something. You are important. You mean something to people. You are valuable. You are loved. And if nobody has told you in a long time, I'm here to tell you today, you're amazing. And the world is a better place because you're in it. So I want you to ask yourself, where have I been petting the dog too long? Where have I been petting Cerberus a little too long? What old beliefs are keeping me trapped in hell? And how can you begin to build worth, build value, build hope again in your life? We're here to do that. We're here to support you. We've got resources at dallasdailyshow.com to make that available for you. We also have a link below in the notes if you're considering wounding yourself, hurting yourself, or suicidal ideation. We have the National Suicide Hotline available for you as well. But go get some of those resources. I don't want you to live in hell anymore. I'm going to muzzle that dog with you. If it's one of the only things I do in this life, it's to give you the value that maybe you don't see in yourself. That's all I got for you today. Like and subscribe to the show. Do all the stuff. But more importantly, work on yourself. This episode's coming out on a Friday, and I want you to maybe take the weekend to examine, how can I break the cycle, quit petting the dog, and get out of my own hell? That's all I got for you today, my friends. Go out there and have a championship day.
Thanks for listening to my dad's podcast. For more tools, go to dallasdailyshow.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.